Jeez, man. What is going on? No horsing around, family. Zach Boyd back at it again. Day one training camp. And guys, we got a lot to talk about fireworks, but I thought, we'd bring Josh on here from Common Colts podcast. Love what he does. We've had him on last year. I thought, why the heck not, right? Training camp started. Let's celebrate. Let's have a little bit of fun on this live stream. Josh, how you been this off season? And you excited and raring to go for the season or for the training camp to kick off?
I'm fired up, man. I got my glass of chocolate milk and a bendy straw. I'm fired up for Colts football. It's training camp. The off season is over. I'm ready for some ball now.
Exactly. So, as I kind of alluded to a second ago, Josh, obviously here in the recent bit, Jim Irsay sending off just kind of like Jim Irsay does, cryptic tweets. Not necessarily calling anybody out by name, but obviously running back position. We've got a running back that wants an extension.
Who's that?
And he obviously does it. And then his agent fires back and says, something along the lines of, you got to pay your best offensive player. That's good faith. Just initial thoughts on just the whole Jonathan Taylor situation, just from your perspective as a fan. What are your thoughts on all of that?
It feels like to me, I don't know. I mean, we can't be in the room when these arguments happen, but it seems like they just got done with some sort of conference call. Irsay got tweaked off at the guy, blasts the tweet off, and now they're disputing it on Twitter. It's 2023 when this stuff has happened. Can somebody put like some sort of parental lock on Jim Irsay's phone? I mean, it's just a bad look. It just is. I mean, we're already a laughing stock, and it just makes it worse, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Josh, from my perspective is, I guess, what do you have to gain by sending that tweet off? There's really, obviously, we know, he knows, his agent knows, the world knows that Jonathan Taylor wants a contract extension. I just don't know if that's the best way to go about it. If you're in the middle of a negotiation, you've got a player who obviously went on this pup list. I don't know what that's all about. And I'd have to say that there's a little bit of that has to do with this contract negotiation, but obviously we're not doctors on here. So maybe he is still dealing with a little bit of a lingering situation. But that being said, for me, I guess my question to Jim Irsay would be why, right? Why?
What do you gain? What do you gain other than people getting mad at you? And the other thing is, like, this isn't new for Jim Irsay. I remember all the way back in 2011 when the Peyton Manning neck injury was going on, and he comes out and he says Peyton Manning's a politician. I don't know if you remember that, but this isn't unlike Jim Irsay to do stuff like this. And it's just in his nature. It's almost like he's an internet troll who just so happens to have billions of dollars and the keys to one of 32 NFL franchises. But yeah, it's not a good look. And I mean, what the best that could have came out of that is his tweet not get that much attention. And the worst is Jonathan Taylor gets mad and who knows what happens. It complicates these contract talks. He gets mad. I see nothing positive coming out of this at all.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're gridlocked here. I think we're in for a little bit of a battle. And typically speaking, under the Chris Ballard, regime, we haven't seen a lot of this, Josh. We haven't seen a lot of camp holdouts. We haven't seen a lot of players really go through these situations. I do believe Chris is in a real tough spot. He loves paying his own. I do believe he really, really likes Jonathan Taylor's ability on the field, but he likes him as a human being as well. Yeah. That being said, there's a business aspect to this. And let's be fair, running backs are not getting paid, crazy wide receiver money, right. and to go out and ask for, I've heard 14, 15 million annually. It's just not going to happen, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, I get the argument. Well, Christian McCaffrey got 16 million.
Yeah.
He also catches 80 to 100 passes a year. Mm-hmm. So you're getting two positions for the price of one. And I'd even say that's slightly overpaying. Mm-hmm. I mean, for the position, you're just not winning Super Bowls with an elite running back. Certainly doesn't hurt,
Yeah. The interesting thing in all this is the Colts can afford him. I mean, it's not a matter of us being able to afford Jonathan Taylor. We have the ultimate trump card, which is a rookie quarterback on a rookie contract. So we're going to have the cap space over the next 4 seasons. So if, in theory, if we wanted to pay Jonathan Taylor, we could pay him the $14 million. It's the really complicated part of this is that everybody in the NFL is watching this deal. Jonathan Taylor is not only getting word from his agent, he has, I mean, Saquon Barkley, I know he just signed a deal. It was only a 1-year deal. I mean, this is going to impact Saquon's next contract. He's got all of these running backs talking to him. We heard about a Zoom call where these running backs were in talks last week, and he's getting pressure on what deal to take and what deal not to take. And the Colts are getting pressure, or Ballard and Irsay are getting pressure from GMs and other owners saying, hey, you should not pay this guy more than this because this contract is huge for the running back market. I mean, this guy is a marquee player we're talking about here. Just a terrible time for the Colts to have to re-sign a player like Jonathan Taylor. What do you think his value is then? What's your top dollar?
I think probably, I mean, it's a great question you're asking, Josh. I think probably for me, I think I'm probably out anything north of 12 mil. I'm out.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
I think really at the top is 12 million. You know, this is for a guy who obviously is an incredible running back. We all know how, you know, the unbelievable season he had the year before last. But that being said, you know, we still didn't even make the playoffs that year. And I mean, he was a dominant force and single-handedly won us a couple football games that year. And no matter how dominant you are at the running back position, it still doesn't always dictate wins and losses. It's very, very hard. And it kind of stinks, man, because I really love Jonathan Taylor. I hope some sort of a resolution, you know, cooler heads prevail. And you'd have to think that Chris Ballard's in Mr. Irsay's office saying, hey, let's stop with this. You know, I mean, like
he's got to.
You know, let's take a quick, big deep breath. Let's exhale and let's say, you know what, my bad, man. I think we just got to let things play out. But to be fair to the Indianapolis Colts too, Josh, he is coming off of an injury. You know, wouldn't you want to see him go out there and be able to produce and be able to play on the football field and just know if you're going to pay someone, you know, upwards of, let's say, 11, 12, 13 million a year, wouldn't you want to know he's back to 100% health?
Oh yeah, 100%. And the other kicker is this guy's got a lot of touches in college. I mean, he carried the rock back in his college days. And running backs, they tend to age quickly. So yeah, from the Colts side of things, I mean, he had that really, really good year, and then last year we don't know which is the anomaly here. Is it the banged up year or is it the amazing season? I think usually with a lot of these things, the truth is somewhere in the middle. Is Jonathan Taylor going to have a year like he did 2 years ago? Probably not. Is Jonathan Taylor going to be nicked up like he was last year all throughout the year? Hopefully not. So, I mean, and I don't think we want Jonathan Taylor to even have the kind of year he did with Carson Wentz, because that means our passing game was so bad that we just have to feed the running back the whole time. In my opinion, Jonathan Taylor is worth $12 million because, first of all, we can afford him, and we have a rookie quarterback who's really going to rely on the run game. We don't have Andrew Luck or somebody like that who could go without a run game. We have Anthony Richardson, who has not played a snap in the NFL and is incredibly raw. Now, what I think Richardson's going to do for Taylor is he's going to be able to carry the rock, and especially early on when he's getting used to the speed of the game. The Colts are probably going to call more quarterback option, quarterback keeper plays, and that's going to kind of weaken down the defense some as well for Taylor. And maybe not, Taylor might not have as much yards as he's had in his best season, but I think the efficiency of his carries are going to go up because of that. So I do think 12 million is a lot. I know it is, but I'm willing to pay 12 million and maybe kick in some incentives based on health and based on snap percentages or something.
Sure. I mean, this is going to be a long, I don't think this is going to be a quick, result. I think this is going to be a long-winded thing. I mean, heck, it could even fester into next year where they have the opportunity to franchise tag this guy if they want to. And they have every right to do it. right? Like, I mean,
Oh yeah.
and it's a brutal business sometimes. And linebackers and running backs usually get the short end of the stick.
Hmm.
But that being said, there's a reason why they get the short end of the stick. You know,
Yeah.
it's the most replaceable position in the NFL, and it generally has the longest shelf life, like you alluded to a second ago.
Hmm.
I guess we're going to kick it off and go into another direction. I don't know if you had a chance to see the highlight. I'm sure you did. You know, AR5 out there on the quarterback keeper dancing in the
I
end
seen
zone.
it.
Pretty cool, man. Just some initial thoughts, just the excitement around the new young quarterback. You know, for once, I feel like a year, we haven't had any positivity, but I feel like we got a little positivity going now. Your
Yeah.
thoughts?
It feels good just to have some optimism. I think I know we had Carson Wentz, and there was a little more nervousness with that. We had Matt Ryan, and it's like, oh, hopefully this guy's not washed up. With Anthony Richardson, it's the first time since Andrew Luck we've truly had hope as a franchise.
Yeah.
And you see this guy and the way he conducts himself in interviews, just how humble and how hungry he is. And then you see 2 or 3 highlights, and it kind of gets you jacked up as a fan. Obviously, Minshew had all the starting reps from what I read.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I don't think that's too surprising. I think what we're going to probably want to look at is um, will Richardson snaps kind of trend up throughout this training camp with the first strings. I would imagine at some point he'll start kind of stealing some of those snaps. But for day one, for what I've seen, for what I've read, I have nothing to complain about.
Yeah. I mean, Richardson, in my opinion, obviously he's going to have some highlight worthy plays. You know, I think we did a podcast with Bob Kravitz yesterday, and I said, you know, you're probably going to write a couple times this year about a couple ESPN top 10 worthy plays from
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson. But then again, you might be able to write 2 top 10 worst plays of the year, you know, when you're dealing with a rookie quarterback. And that's just the nature of the beast, man. But for me, I'm curious your thoughts. For me, I say when you got a young quarterback, throw them out there, man. I mean, let them play, let them take their lumps, let the mistakes happen, let them learn from those mistakes, and learn to how really to respond in the NFL to adversity.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
You're 100% right. And Richardson does not need to be doing 5-step, 7-step drops, going through 3 or 4 reads to make it in his first few games in the NFL. He just doesn't. First of all, we Jonathan Taylor's probably going to be playing for us. So you got that guy you can hand the ball off to 20 times, and you can do a lot of things, whether it's a quick 2-read plays, a lot of RPO stuff, just for him to get acclimated early on. That the best way to learn. Peyton Manning, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, the guy who's actually played the game, has said the best way to learn is to play. You can only learn so much by holding a clipboard and listening to play calls. Anthony Richards is going to have to play at some point. He just is. And watching Gardner Minshew play for 4 weeks, 5 weeks before the Colts lose a bunch of games and then eventually he gets thrust in, I don't see how much learning he's going to do in a 4 or 5 week window anyway. I just don't. So I think you get him in as soon as possible. You get those reps. It's really more on Shane Steichen than it even is Anthony Richardson. What kind of plays is he calling, and what kind of scenarios are we putting the Colts into? And honestly, look at their schedule. Their schedule is not that tough to start the season. So that Baltimore game in Baltimore is not fun looking. But other than that, I mean, I'm feeling good.
Yeah, I mean, Josh, I've never understood quite this philosophy of, hey, we'll wait 4, 5, 6 weeks and then take the training wheels off. So you're basically saying to your fan base, I'm good with losing those 4, 5, 6 weeks and then putting him out there. Well, if you're good with losing those first 4, 5, or 6
what's
weeks,
it matter?
Put him on the field. You know what I mean? Like if you're not worried about the outcome anyways, let the guy go out there, and it's inevitable. He's going to make some plays this year. Like I said earlier, head scratching. You're going to be like, what the heck was going on there? But then there's going to be a couple plays where you're just thinking, man, that's why they drafted him number 4 in the draft. And you saw a little bit of his legs today in training camp. You're probably going to see a whole lot more as training camp goes because it's just a natural gift that he has. It's very instinctive.
Well, what do you think it's going to take for Ballard and Irsay and Shane all to get together and say, hey, you know what? This guy's ready to play day one, opening day. He's trotting out there. What do you think it's going to take for the Colts to say, yeah, let's do it?
You know, I think I think the only reason they wouldn't, Josh, in my opinion, is real simple. Is if they feel like he is so far behind in the playbook and he's just not up to speed with the actual NFL game yet. I don't think they at that point would want to put him in a situation where he just completely loses all of his confidence in that first
Mhm.
4, 5, 6 weeks.
Mhm.
Other than that, I think the plan's always been to start him week one, but they want to make him earn it. They want to make him go out there and do it the traditional way,
Mhm.
instead of just saying, hey, here's the keys to the city. You've got the job. Go out there and learn, take a little bit of pressure off of them, start with the twos. I think eventually you'll start seeing him split reps with the ones. And then the next step, obviously, is to put him out there. I think this will actually develop pretty quickly once preseason week one starts, and then we'll just see what we got. And Shane Steichen, if I'm a quarterback whisperer, so to
Yeah.
speak, I want my guy out there,
Yeah.
right? I want my guy, and I want to find out in preseason. I want to find out what he can and what he can't do and what he's got to work on so we can get him ready as the season goes along. I don't want to find out in the middle of the second quarter of week one, oh my gosh, man, we didn't even
Yeah.
try that with him, Like
Yeah.
I want to know. And I think the plan all along has been to start him week one if he can play. If he doesn't start week one, my guess would be he's just not caught up to the speed of the NFL game and quite learned how to process things yet. Just
Yeah.
my thoughts.
Yeah, that's good. And the truth is, this guy's having a quarterback battle with Sam Ellinger and Gardner Minshew. We're not talking. We're not even talking Jimmy G. We're talking Gardner Minshew. So he's kind of got that going for him as well. To a point where the Colts, if they trot out Gardner Minshew, I mean, let's face it, we're probably not going to win any game. We're probably not. We might win one or two games. It's just the truth of it. So for a fan base, it would be a heck of a lot more exciting just to watch this guy, even if he tosses 2 picks a game, just to watch him grow and see those strides. So yeah, I'm with you 100%. Day one, I want to see AR out there.
Yeah, and I think the fan base overwhelmingly sentiment they want to see him out there. We'll have to trust Shane Steichen. We'll
Yeah.
have to trust this regime and just see what
Yep.
they got as things go along. But so early in the process, they didn't really throw a lot of passes, which I was a little
Yeah.
bit intrigued by that. Josh, I want to get your thoughts on that. Were you a little bit surprised at how few reps they had actually throwing the football, in actual live drills? Now, of course, they dropped back and threw to receivers and did drills like that. But I
Yeah.
mean, I think Richardson threw the ball twice.
Yeah.
That's just not a big sample size.
Yeah, that I read that too, and I was wondering why that was. And I think there's a point where, as fans, we just have to say, you know what, I trust the process. I remember on our show, Common Colt, I ripped into Ballard, and because they didn't trade up for the number one pick, I was livid, and maybe because they weren't more aggressive with the coaching hire. And then you wait for things to play out, and you're like this is why these guys get paid millions of dollars to make these decisions. First of all, we didn't trade our future for a question mark at quarterback. We stayed put, and we were able to get guys like Josh Downs and Juju Brents. And we didn't trade for a Sean Payton type. We didn't mortgage our future for a guy who might not even work out. So I look at the Richardson not throwing as many passes today, and I think it was mainly red zone work. And I say,
Yeah.
okay, that's a little weird, but Shane's probably got a plan in place, and maybe, like you said, it's, hey, let's get Anthony used to the speed of the game a little bit here. This is his first NFL training camp. No need to rush into this with all the stuff at once. So I'm assuming it's a calculated approach. I was surprised by it, but I'm trusting the experts in this one. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably what they should do. Obviously, they did do that today,
Yeah,
but I think today was more about acclimating and building just a little bit of confidence, right? Like I think you just want to give him some easy dump offs that he's going to complete, just so he can go out there and say, "Okay, I can do this thing."
yeah,
I can actually go out there and play quarterback. Just get to moving around a little bit. Don't want to take any chances on any early injuries, tweaking anything,
yeah.
especially as we get going. Not too surprised on this one here. So we're going to pop through a few of these comments, and then
Oh
we'll
yeah,
just kind of shout out, hey, Spooks, thank you so much for hopping in. Matt's been doing such a great job. My man Corey, He said he's got to get that AR5 jersey before the Saturday practice. Absolutely. We will be there. Man, I'll say one thing that was very encouraging today, and I did not expect this, honestly, Josh, was Shaq Leonard's play on the field. I didn't think it was going to happen quite like that. I didn't think that he was going to be on the field really at all. I thought it was going to be more of just kind of off the field side work. This guy was out there 90% of the plays today running around. That's encouraging, man. I mean, that is very encouraging when I think we've all been very worried about, what's going on because we just really didn't know.
Yeah, it's weird because we kind of have PTSD as Colts fans, obviously, with the Luck injuries and the Manning neck problem. And Irsay, what was it? 2 weeks ago, comes out and he says, "Hey, Jonathan Taylor's fully healthy, fully healed up," and he says Shaq's kind of gave us the typical like NFL speak. He's working his way back. We'll see, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, Shaq's participating in all periods of practice. He's very active, and it just seems like it came out of nowhere. But I'm so encouraged by that. I'm not gonna lie. I was starting to get pretty down on it, and I was starting to think, oh boy, like this could be spiraling out of control here. And to see him back already in training camp and knocking the rust off and getting back used to the speed of the game after being off for so long, that's a really encouraging sign.
Yeah, I mean, that is – you want to talk about a bright light in the sky tonight in Indianapolis Colts, universe. I mean, that is a super bright light out there for us because I'm like you, man. I was in my head. I was starting to think, is this guy ever going to play football again? I thought to myself,
I thought the same.
That's crazy, to even fathom that would happen. But anytime you're dealing with a nerve injury, you just don't know how it's going to respond, man. And, who could blame him for taking his time and getting back and getting healthy? Hopefully no hiccups here, and hopefully he can just be a little bit more of the same as they get going. I guess tomorrow they're going to get a day off, and then they're going to ramp back up, as far as that go. Wyatt Law, longtime listener, viewer.
Oh, yeah.
JT reps need to tone down the rhetoric. Things don't need to be confrontational just because Irsay stated a fact about the collective bargaining. Wyatt, I'm going to say this, and I will, although I agree with parts of what you said, Jim Irsay did kind of poke the bear, though. You got to kind of read the room. You knew the circumstances and you knew what was going on behind the scenes because obviously you're the owner. You're involved in some of those contract negotiation conversations. The man wants to get paid. I probably would have just left that tweet alone. I might have said that to Chris Ballard. I might have said that to anybody in that building in my brain trust, but I don't know if I'm tweeting that out. Not just yet. Let's maybe wait till we get into the season or there's some sort of a crazy holdout, and then maybe you go down that road. I think now we've got this direction is going. I think it might be going south a little bit. We'll just have to see if he comes back Friday and how he is on the sidelines.
That's a tweet Irsay needs to make if he hears that the Titans are having contract issues with Derrick Henry. Don't make that tweet when we're negotiating with Jonathan Taylor. Just complicating things, Jim. Come on, Jim.
I agree, man. Let's see. Reps got to eat too. So as far as just I haven't had a chance to talk to you about training camp. Yeah. What are you most excited about? Like, is there any players, positions, things that you just really are like, man, I'm going to keep my eye on this. I'll start off and just give you a second to think it up.
Yep.
Josh Downs for me. Love the kid. I don't know what it is about him, but I just feel like there's a little something different to his game. A little bit of I don't know if it's a swag, a confidence, what it is, a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. But, man, he's a guy I'm going to really look at as far as rookies go. Anybody for you that stands out or you're just interested in seeing?
Yeah, mine was Josh Downs, but I'll pivot because that's what we do. I'm looking at the tight end group, and I'm looking at I've had my eye on Jelani Woods, and obviously just that tight end group, which seems to be very competitive, incredibly competitive. And I'm assuming there's going to be a few guys removed from that group just due to the fact that we have to cut this roster down to 53 guys. And I'm not sure who's going to get the axe. Maybe maybe it's Mo Alley Cox. I don't know. But the truth is, Jelani Woods is built like a superhuman,
Yeah.
and so is Anthony Richardson. And the idea of having a superhuman quarterback and a superhuman tight end gets me jacked up. So yeah, I want to see how Jelani Woods progresses this year.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, you want to talk about the prototype. If you were to say, "Hey, build me, a transformer tight end and a transformer quarterback," well, you wake up and then you have Anthony Richardson and insert Jelani Woods, and there you go. Jelani Woods had so many really nice chunk plays last year, but then they kind of would go away from him for the rest of the game. I'd like to see him get more involved. And just see how Shane Steichen can implement him in his offense. Very curious to see if he kind of fills that Dallas Goedert role. Who knows, if he fills that role or not. And then Mikey Mendez, he wanted to know about, Farrell Brown's a blocking type guy. Yeah, I think they'll probably want a guy like that. I mean, Mikey, they got about 15 tight ends on this roster right now. Like it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at their depth chart, but I mean, so somebody's
Kylen
going,
Granson.
And somebody's going soon. You got Kylen Granson. My hot take, and I'm probably going to beat this drum most of training camp. I don't think Mo Alley Cox is. I think he's going to be the camp casualty. I think he's going to be a veteran, most likely to be cut, just because young tight ends, more athletic, better skill set. And guess what? You're not doing. You're not paying any of those $6 million a year. So.
Yeah. And the truth is, we had hoped that he had a lot of potential. And I think he has developed well. I mean, look, the guy didn't play a whole lot of football before going pro, and he's developed well, but I think he's kind of peaked. I don't think he's going to get much better than what he is. And for what our roster is, I think we can go in more of a youth movement.
Yeah, man. Hey, Dylan, great question. Hey, Zach, Josh, what days at camp are you going to? I'll be there on the 5th. So as a fan, Dylan, I will be there Saturday actually for the evening practice. And then I've got credentials. I've got media passes for the 6th and the 10th. I'm going to be down. Nice. So I'll be down there to check them out, see what they got going on, try to get you guys some extra footage. Don't know about you, Josh. You going to make the trip this year?
Yeah, I'm gonna try going down this Saturday. Actually, I'll be in Myrtle Beach the week after, so not happening. But yeah, I might try making it down Saturday, and maybe we'll have to get a meetup or something going.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, nice to know that. And Dylan, if you happen to be there on Saturday, hit us up. Send me a message, man, on Twitter here, whatever, and we'll catch up and see what's going on and see your thoughts on it. Let's go down to Colton. Ballard wants to fill the 50s very much with only tight ends and defensive line.
Yeah,
that is funny.
Feels like it.
And also kind of true. Let's see. If you need an assistant to carry your gear and record anything, I'm available. I think I'm not that big of a deal yet, Matt, but I do appreciate the offer. Just going to be the old handy iPhone and me. I think that'll suffice on that one right there. But yeah, I mean, kind of getting back to some training camp features, things that we're looking at. A position group for me that's got my antennas up is the cornerback position.
Oh, yeah.
Really done nothing there. Obviously, Isaiah Rodgers is gone because of the gambling situation. Yeah. Just don't feel any compassion for that situation. That's just me as far as that goes. But when it comes to that cornerback, we're young there, Josh. I mean, we really, really are.
We are. And we can look at this two ways. First of all, I think they need to sign a cornerback, even if the guy isn't starting, just somebody to help these guys develop and learn how to be professionals. Yeah. And take these guys under their wing and say, hey, you know what? This is how you win as an NFL cornerback. I think we need that out. We have Kenny Moore, I know, but I think we need one more guy as a veteran presence. Last year, the safety, we had Rodney, just somebody like that. Now, I know the Isaiah Rodgers situation kind of sucks, and we really had a lot of potential in our secondary. But let's not forget, we obviously have Juju Brents, and we have our safeties. I mean, we have Blackman, and we have Nick Cross at safety, and we have the kid out of Pittsburgh. I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head now. Rodney Thomas. So I mean, we got a lot of youth in our secondary to where. Give the secondary a few years to kind of gel, and we might be onto something.
Yeah, I mean, you might be right, and you can't leave out Dallas Flowers.
Yeah,
too.
Dallas Flowers.
I don't know if you've ever had a chance to interact or listen to any of his interviews. It's been few and far between, but Dallas Flowers lacks zero confidence, Josh. I
Mm,
mean, that guy is, he loves him some Dallas Flowers. I
yeah.
mean, he is, and I'm going to tell you right now, you got to have that in the NFL, right? Like, if
Yeah.
you don't believe in yourself, then who the heck is going to believe in you
Yeah.
when it comes down to it? I mean, I think we can pencil in Juju to be a starter. I
Yeah.
mean, you draft him in the second round.
Yep.
I don't have any doubts that guy's already penciled in. You got Kenny Moore. It's going to be a war and a battle, for that next thing. Corey Lampkins just noticed that Juju didn't practice because of a hamstring, not a wrist. He had surgery on before the draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I probably don't get too worried about the
Yeah.
injuries. Week one, when we start festering into week two, week three, especially with rookies, these guys need to be on the football field. I mean, bottom
Yeah.
line, I know you want to err on the side of caution, but these guys definitely need to be on the football field. You got any injury concerns for this football team as we're heading into camp? We seem to be pretty healthy, but do you have any?
Yeah. Not really. I really don't. Circling back around to the Dallas Flowers comment you made about his confidence, I do just want to say what a position to be confident in, because you're going to get torched a time or two. And it's just like a receiver. I mean, you're going to drop a pass, but how are you going to come back? And cornerbacks nowadays, they're going to get torched. So do you think he's going to, I know I'm changing the topic here, but do you think he's going to be the guy next to Juju Brents, or who do you think is going to get that other outside cornerback spot?
I don't know, man. You've got Rush out there
Yeah.
competing. He's another rookie. If I had to put my money on it, I think Dallas Flowers has a really good chance at competing and winning that job early on. I don't know that I wouldn't. I don't know that I wouldn't consider, though, going out and getting one of these free agent, veteran
Yeah.
guys to come in with, especially so young on that back end. Looks like Rodney Thomas is going to be penciled in as your free safety.
Yeah.
They're moving up Julian Blackman to strong safety.
Yep.
You've got Nick Cross there as well. I don't know. I might do that. I might go veteran there. And to kind of double back to another topic, I might go veteran at right guard too. I'm a little
Yeah.
surprised that we haven't went out there and done anything for the depth there. Just your thoughts on the interior offensive lineman. Would you like to see us go out there and sign a veteran, or are you pretty content with what we got right now?
Yeah. I want to see us sign a veteran right guard. In my opinion, the top needs are right guard and cornerback. And I think what Chris and Shane are probably doing is seeing what they've got first. They're going to take some time over these next few practices and see what they got, and then go and sign somebody. But I think what they're going to discover is what we all think, which is, hey, no matter who's at quarterback, pressure up the middle freaking sucks. And you want to get a steady right guard in there just to help that situation. The truth is, the Colts had a lot of needs this past offseason. Quarterback, cornerback, wide receiver. I mean, offensive line. We're lacking a pass rusher. We're thin at linebacker. We cleaned up a lot. We cleaned up a lot in that draft. We really did. But you can't get it all in one swing. That's why the NFL is they're always building all throughout the season, over multiple seasons. And we couldn't fix all the holes, but I do think we need to get a veteran right guard in there, and I think we need to do it pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. Mikey Mendez says Flowers is this year's face on a cornerback.
Oh man, don't tell me
I
that.
hope not, man.
Don't tell me that, man.
I hope not.
That was bad. That was bad.
That is, one of the best days of the offseason is when Brandon Faison got re-signed by the Raiders. I thought, wow, that experiment is fully done and over with. Let's hope he's a little better than that, Mikey. Let's hope he can
Won't
come
be
out
hard.
and do some more productive things than that. No holds, no blown coverages or anything like that. And Dallas Flowers is a great athlete, man. I mean, he really is. So it should be fun to watch that position as well.
It will be.
Obviously, we've got Anthony Richardson. All eyes on him as a rookie. Do you have another rookie that you're excited about seeing in training camp and just this year in general? Do you have another rookie that you've been thinking, man, it's going to be fun to watch this guy?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. And I know you touched on him earlier, but the amount of excitement I have for Josh Downs is probably unhealthy. I mean, it is bad. We mocked him to the Colts back in January, I think it was. And I'm watching him through the combine. I hear Adam Thielen say, hey, this guy runs great routes. I hear Steve Smith, former Panthers former Panthers great, say, hey, this guy looks like one of the best receivers in the draft. Reggie Wayne says something similar. And then I watch more tape on the guy and I get more jazzed up. I watch him crying when he gets drafted and I see, okay, this guy not only has the skills, but this guy freaking wants it. This guy wants to win and he wants to be great. I see all that. And then I hear about Anthony Richardson coming in and playing and having this duo form with him, similar to how Luck and Hilton came in together and the rookie camp time they spent together and they really built chemistry. I think about that and I just get jazzed up for this guy. The Colts haven't had a great slot style receiver who could play in the slot and be shifty since T.Y. Hilton, who would do that. I'm jazzed up for this guy. And especially when I think about Shane Steichen and the stuff he can do with him, I'm pumped. I'm pumped for this kid.
I think sky's the limit for him if he can stay healthy and stay on the football field. One thing about him, I think people might think just from just the outside looking in, is that he's a smaller receiver, but this guy's pretty physical. I mean, when it comes to fighting for that ball at the point of the attack, if you go back and watch some of his college video, my man's not scared to get in there and rip that ball out of somebody else's hands and just go up and get it. He is a different version. A lot of people have said, he could be the next T.Y. Hilton. I don't really compare him so much other than the size and the stature because he's more reliant on moving the chains, first down, running those crisp routes, really converting his body and making those tough, difficult catches. T.Y. was so incredible at those go routes, right? And those big, deep overs and really getting you on stuff like that. I think you're going to see a little bit more of a volume guy in a Josh Downs. I mean, ultimately, when he's, all said and done 2-3 years down the road, he's a guy that could catch 90 passes a year, annually. I just think they could feed the ball to him and get him the ball in a lot of different ways. Be very, very curious to see how that goes. Mikey's got another comment here. Keep an eye on Titus Leo. He's a freak athlete, so raw, loves to learn and break down field. He was a receiver coming out of college. Yeah, man. I mean, Titus Leo, if one thing we know about it in any draft, Chris Ballard's going to take it. He's going to take a swing on a small guy, and he loves him some traits, right? Like those are the two things that you can bet on every single draft, even though you don't know who he's necessarily going to pick. This happens to be one right here, a very, very good. And if he turns out to be special, it's going to be quite a find, for a very small school. But just in general, I think that we have a huge rookie class, Josh.
Big.
But there's one guy who's not a part of – he's a part of the rookie class, but he wasn't drafted. And I'm going to butcher his name, and I always do. But Yakora from Alabama, the right guard, I think the guy comes in. And honestly, if he's your week one starter at right guard and you don't sign a veteran, that won't surprise me at all. Like coming from a Nick Saban offense, that kid was really, really good in college. Don't know how in the world he didn't get drafted in this draft. And just thank the heavens that the Indianapolis Colts were able to sign him as an undrafted free agent.
I watched an interview of his actually, and he had said that he had a knee thing come up at the combine where the doctors had pulled something up from years ago, and they raised a flag, and it ended up not being an issue. But he was hoping to get drafted maybe 4th round, completely fell out of the draft. And a lot of times for guys like that, they pick the team who has the weakest starter or the weakest backup, and he comes to Indianapolis. And now this guy's not only going to have a chance to compete for a roster spot on the Colts, but maybe the starting right guard spot. And the Colts might have found themselves a steal. I mean, guys like that fall all the time in the draft due to health red flags, and I think teams sometimes overthink that stuff, and that could be one of the steals of the draft.
I totally agree, man. I mean, I've got my eyes on him. I want to see what he's all about when he's out there, and pretty proven over the years. If you play at Alabama and you've had success,
you're ready for NFL.
Probably going to be okay in the NFL, at the next level. It's just kind of the way it's gone in the last 10, 12, 15 years with Nick Saban being there. Matt's asking what about the German EuroLeague cornerback? Is he still in development or attending camp? Don't know about that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But hey, I tell you what, Matt, we'll check on it next live stream. We'll do a little bit digging. We'll see what goes on with that. Before we hop off here, Josh, anything else you're excited about training camp just in general? I know you're going to get a chance to get down there on Saturday. Anything else before we hop off here that you'd like to talk about, or just a player position, anything, coaching?
Yeah, man, I'm just excited, honestly. Really, first of all, Shaq is back. That makes me excited. I know we talked about that earlier. I'm excited to see Alec Pierce. That's a guy who, in my opinion, has maybe a higher ceiling than Michael Pittman Jr. I'm just the way how Alec Pierce attacks the ball. You talked about Josh Downs attacking the ball. Last year, there were some contested jump balls that Matt Ryan would throw, and Alec Pierce would go up and get it. I'm just saying, watch out for Alec Pierce. I'm kind of expecting big things out of this kid.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that 50-50 ball. Did it so many times there in Cincinnati. I wish they would have done it more with him last year.
Yeah.
Honestly. He has great body control. He has a great vertical, great speed. He's actually a very good athlete. I don't know if people really think of him as that way, but he is a really, really good athlete. And I think he's definitely going to take that next step in year 2. Guys, before we get off here, just if you haven't had an opportunity to join this No Horsing Around family, feel free to tap in. Be a part of this as the season gets going on, as we're almost at 2.7K. We're very thankful for each and every interaction that we all have here. And then when you're done listening to this live stream, head over to the Common Colts podcast. Check out my guy, Josh. And what is your partner's name?
Dan. Old Dan.
Josh and Dan, man. I mean, they get on there and they do a really good job, honestly. I mean, I've always enjoyed their content, and it's just a real thorough straight through. You're not going to get a bunch of, this, that, and the other, no screaming, no yelling, but you're going to get what it is, straight to the point. Cool stuff to listen to. So guys, go over there and check them out as well. And as always, until next time,